So, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to start off by saying Barakatham, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopefully elect, starting with the 145,000, shalom. So, Lord willing, right, I want to go into this lesson, and it's titled Getting Back to His Draconian Ways, Rome 2.0. And before it all start, Lord willing, you know what? Lord, we're gonna flow through the spirit. I don't try to make it no long. We're gonna flow through the spirit, and see, I got a few precepts right here I want to touch on, but in a sense, this Eddie Ashwama lesson, I was around about 45 minutes into it, but as I went back, because in his beginning part, he said something that hit me in the spirit that gave me the title of his lesson this morning, right? I had this in there this morning, right? And I listened to it on the way to work this morning, and I've been listening to it throughout the day because I've been moving around, things as such, right? Finally got the time to sit down to go into it through the spirit, but I'm gonna play this, and Lord willing, we'll move from there.
He's getting ready to speak as a dragon, which the dragon goes to what, draconian measures, getting back into the spirit of the ancient Roman emperors, excommunicating people from their system, passing laws and legislation that make it legal, all right, to burn, execute, and destroy people who are against their God. And their modern day God has everything to do with this technology that we're witnessing, all right, dominate the planet Earth, all right.
So as you can see, right, as I title at hand, right, it says getting back to his draconian ways, Rome 2.0, right? And we'll start Revelation 13, right? Because when you go into it, right, when you go into history, right, Rome fell, right? Rome fell, right, through economic reasons, and that's when Esau and Jake came into rulership, right, through Nerva, right? Constantine, 325 AD, that's when, that Christianity it went from the pagan Roman Empire to the Holy Roman Empire. But in a sense, that's for another day. In a sense, we're going into Rome fell, right, and he was cast into that bottom. He was, there was chains on him in a sense, right? He was in captivity in a sense. He was down, right? And we know that that's when Rome fell, and he came back through power, right, through the Renaissance, right, which was the revival of the Roman Empire. Right? I want to read this real fast, Revelation 20, right? And we like Elder Ashwama mentioned before, we don't went through this, 1 through 3 is going into when the Roman Empire fell, from the time the Roman Empire fell to the time it's coming back up, right? Through the Renaissance, right? And verses 7, right, and 8. But verses 4, 5, and 6 is going into those 1,000 years reign with Yahweh Shai. But Lord willing, want to get straight to the point. Revelation 20, verse 7 says, when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. This is going into the time Roman. So you have the first 1,000 years, right, when the time Roman fall through the Renaissance, right, to that little season, which we're in that little season now, right? And once he came out of that captivity after those 1,000 years, that's what it says, right? It says that he shall go out and deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them to the battle, the number of whom is the sand of the sea, right? Gog and Magog is Russia, but ultimately, right, Armageddon, when they're going to fight each other. But the point is, right, it says he shall go out to deceive the nations which are on the four corners of the earth. When he in the Renaissance, Esau, came pushing his way, chipping nose off statues, whitewashing everything, right? When he came out of that captivity, pushing everything. And that's that beast system, right? NATO, EU, America, right? Which America rides the back, as Eddie Ashwama going into a little bit in the lesson. America rides the back, and that's why America can do whatever they want to do. America, as Elder Apostle Harvey said, America get the cold, everybody else get the flu, right? But Lord willing, I want to go into how, right, Esau, he's ready to get back into his draconian ways on 2.0, right? Because we know ain't nothing new under the sun. Reincarnation, though we know that what? Trump looked just like who? Trump looked just like Nero, right? Trump moving and act just like Nero, man, right? Right? That reincarnation Nero, right? We know this, we know how, Lord willing, we know reincarnation if you understand it. But I want to get right here in Revelation 13. We'll start at verse 3. Jump down. It says, and I saw one of his heads, they were wounded to death, talking about the Roman Empire, as we went into a little bit, Revelation 20, when he fell, right? His deadly wound was healed. What are they talking about? Through the Renaissance, as we mentioned, right? Started around 1300, got big around 1500, 1600, I'm not mistaken, right? And it says, it got big around the 1400, 1500, right? It says, and I saw one of his heads, they were wounded to death, right? His deadly wound was healed, and all the world went after the beast. He's talking about the Roman Empire, right? So when you jump down, Revelation chapter 13, we start verse 11, it says, "Not beheld another beast coming up out of the earth." He's talking about America. He had two horns like a lamb, right? That's just talking about how he puts that soft manner in his two horns. The Democrat Republican Party says that he spake as a dragon, right? His draconian laws, draconian ways, right? And I got it in my notes. Let me see. Let me go to something real fast. Bear with me. Let's see. Let me see. Right? Draconian meaning, right? The word draconian means extremely harsh, severe, or cruel. Usually used to describe rules, laws, or punishments. If a penalty feels way too strict or unfair for the mistake made, it is considered draconian. And this is what named after Draco, right? Ancient Greek lawmaking in Athens, right? But this is what Esau wants to push. This is what Esau wants to get back to. And we know during the time of Rome, this is how they were moving, right? In that draconian way. So when you go to Revelation 12, what's that dragon talking about? That dragon is talking about who? The Roman Empire, right? You know, Revelation 12, right? Let me see. I think it's Revelation 16. It mentions them as a dragon, right? Yeah, the mouth of the dragon, right? The dragon is what? The Roman Empire, right? Because Esau ready to get back to that. He ready to get back to that, to his draconian ways, his harsh. Hey, as we're gonna read, right? Let's continue reading, right? It says, in verse 12, it says, "He exercised all the power of the first beast before him," right? We're talking about the Roman Empire, right? You know, because America mimics everything that Rome does, right? He says, "And causes all the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast who daily wound was healed," right? So he caused everybody to follow after those ways of the Roman Empire because America mimics and does all the things the Roman Empire does. That's why you go into the back of the dollar, you have the Latin phrase, right? Let me see. Let's see if we can do this. What does back of right? It says Novus Ordo Sacrum, right? Latin text meaning a new order of the ages, pointing the start of the American era. What do you think? What do you think? And it's also of coincidence, right? I was thinking about this earlier. I mentioned in spirit going to this lesson, the bald eagle. What the Roman Empire is referred to as the second Ezra, we're gonna grab as an eagle, right? You know, Revelation 17, sorry, Revelation 17, Ezekiel 17, right? Deuteronomy, that same eagle, that Roman Empire, this dragon, right? But this point right here, right? I want you to see right here, that's in Latin, right? You know, why is it so crazy that's in Latin, right? What's the Romans speak Latin, man? This is what a new order of the ages, pointing out the start of the American era, pointing out the start of the revised Roman Empire. That's what America is, right? Let me see. Let's type this in. Is America? Let's just type it like this so chat don't do too much. America looked at as Rome 2.0. I should have put because, yes, the United States is frequently compared to Rome, with many historians, political scientists, and cultural critics referring America as a modern Rome 2.0. This comparison stems from striking similarities in their foundational ideas in global power and domestic challenges, man. So you see, right, and these they're getting, as Eddie Yashwan was mentioning, these leaders, they're getting back. They're getting back into that rulership of those Roman emperors, that cruel rule, that draconian ways, those draconian laws. Esau already get back to that. He's just ushering in his system, his newer order. He's ushering his system in slowly. He's pushing it in to where people accepting it low key, but they don't know what's going on because Jake not in the spiritual mind to see what's going on, right? Esau got everybody drunk, but now people are waking up slowly, right? But now he's already ushering in at a fast pace, right? So let's get back to reading, right? It says, and he do a great wonder so that he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth inside of men, right? Uh, as you know, going through his arm, his fighter jets, all those things and such, right? It says, and deceiveth them to do on the earth by the means of those miracles he had empowered to do inside of the beast, right? It's that AI, this technology. He deceived and tricking everybody. He ushering this technocracy, right? Giving everybody over to this technocracy, this technological system where he's gonna put his RFID chips to everybody, where he's gonna own and track everybody who takes that chip. Everybody's gonna become a digital slave unto him, right? It says, which he had the power to do inside the beast, saying to them that dwell on earth, they should make an image to the beast, which by the womb was had the womb by a sword and did live. It says that he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as to worship, is the point. And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. You know, Revelation 16, it's going into the mark of the beast, right, where they're going to force this chip onto everybody. If you don't take it, you're going to be left behind or you're going to be killed behind it, right? At first, oh, yeah, you're going to be left behind. Man, they're going to kill you, man. They're going to get rid of you, right? This is the same thing what Rome doing. Esau ready to get back to his way. He's waiting on the right moment to push it, right? Order abkeo. He ready to create chaos so he can bring order, so he can usher in his system. He's ready to get back to that. That's why they're working on minimizing rights, getting rid of rights. All these things about you no longer about to have these things. The Constitution will no longer stand, right? They're coming in that dictatorship form, that monarch form, right? To rule, right? I think that's what it is. Let me see. I'm not mistaken. I don't want to. I'm messing up my terms, right? Yeah. Monarch, right? They come in that monarch form, man. Right? They want to rule. They want everybody to do it. They want everybody to be under them. Everybody worship their God. Everybody worship their culture. They want to control everything and everybody, just as Rome moved, right? So I'll read verse 16. It says that he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. We know this is the mark of the beast, right? Don't let these people fool you, act like, oh, no, this is the RFID chip. I was just telling the brother earlier is how at work today, we built tires at work, right? And we built tires at work. And he was talking about how he was like the future is, or they was giving us a tour of the facility, they all the new hires. It's like, yeah, man, the future is here, man. You know, it's the future that we putting these RFID chips in the tires. That's we can track them. We no longer have to just use barcodes, thing where we had to scan them. Now we got RFID chips and where we can track them, right? And then the guy said, I wonder what type of chips they're gonna put in humans, right? Because people are knowing what's going on, but people they're not taking it serious. They don't think it's something to be in a bad case. Because these miracles, this technology, they think this is the new wave. This is the new age. This newer order. They think it's a good thing. Also, they don't even understand this is Esau. He's out here doing the bid of Satan. He working the kingdom of Satan. He's trying to build up the kingdom of Satan. Ultimately, to fight for eternal life, to turn everything to technology. They feel like the digital system gonna help them fight against Yahweh Shem Shah to win over eternal life, which is not gonna happen. And he want to cause everybody on his side to team up with him, right? It says that no man might buy or sell, save he have the mark, save he that had the mark or the name of his beast or the number of his name, man. Right? So you can't do nothing without this chip. You're gonna be left behind, you're gonna be X'd out. And Esau he wanna come his draconian ways he wanna get back to his draconian ways to where people are like, oh, why you doing it wrong? Nah, he wanna make it to where either you're gonna get down or lay down. That cohesive contract. That's why we're trying to tell you over and over, you're still a slave here. Esau wants to make you a digital slave now. Right? He wants to control you and own you in all ways, be able to track you, find you, where you get money from, spending money, whatever you're doing, he's gonna be able to track you and find you. No matter what, he's gonna own you, man. Right? He's gonna brand you, man. Right? He wanted to defile the temple. Right? He wanted to defile the temple. He wanted to put that chip beside you, defile your temple, man. You gotta know this body is this is the temple of our spirit. This is where our spirit dwells. He wanted to defile that spiritual temple that's being built. Because we're that spiritual temple being built. So he wanted to defile the righteous man of the spiritual temple being built. Right? But I'm gonna go back up to verse 12 in NLT. It says he exercised all the authority of the first beast, Roman Empire, and he required all the earth and his people to worship the first beast whose fatal wound had been healed. So going from now, I want to go to 2nd Ezra real fast before I go to what I typed in on Google, right? 2nd Ezra chapter 12, right? And going to start at verse 36 says, Thou only hast been meet to know the secret of the highest, therefore write all these things. It's like it. I keep going to say there's 12. It's 11. Did I put 12 in here? It's 11. It's like it. So there's 11. Verse 36 said, Then I heard a voice which said unto me, Look before thee and consider the things thou seest. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion, this is Yahushua, sits out of the wood, and saw that he sent out a man's voice to the eagle, this Roman Empire, and said, Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, Art now thou it that remainest of the four beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, and the end of the time might come through them? Because the Edomites are still in rule, right? You know, and this is the last empire that's going to rule with Apostle John saw the new heaven, new earth, because he's seen the old earth, the old heaven where all these rulerships, where all these kings had rule, ending with the Edomites in rulership through Babylon the Great, the vast Roman Empire, America, right? You know, and this place is still in rule today. The Roman Empire is still in rule today. The Romans are still, the Americans are the modern day Rome, as we just seen, right? Trump, Nero, all these emperors come back and they get back to their ways. They ready to get back to their ways, man. Right? The end of their time's gonna come through this. It's their rise Roman Empire because the Edomites are still in rule. Right? It started with the Greeks and they established themselves as the Romans and they've been in rule since they came back up in their Renaissance. Right? It says and when you go to Daniel 7, what's that fourth beast? The Roman Empire. It says, and the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. So long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit, right? You know, because he ruled he ruled with rigor, man. He didn't spare and care about none. This is how he was ancient. This is how he was an ancient Roman Empire, and he's getting back to the way today. It says, for the earth hast thou not judged with truth, for thou hast afflicted the meek, and thou hast hurt the peaceable. Thou hast loved liars and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up to the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. The highest also had looked upon the proud times, and they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled. And therefore appear no more, thou eagle, this Roman Empire, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, right? Nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body. Because why? When you go into those wings, right? When you go into those feathers, when you go into those heads, that's what the Roman emperors, 12 Caesars, man, right? You know, right? You know, and they're gonna be brought down because they're getting back to their roots because they still here today. Now they pushing that new order, they pushing that new age, right? They're pushing that new order of the ages. They pushing that new world order, right? But Yahushua's gonna come break it down, destroy them because Esau is slowly getting back to what, right? Getting back to his draconian ways. E is getting back to he's slowly getting back to it, which is gonna bring that great wrath. He said that all the earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her, right? Because the Most High's got to bring them down. Because we're going to get to it, right? And I grab this real fast while I'm here. Psalms, right? And many other precepts come to mind as we read, we'll continue going. But it's Psalms 55:21 says, the words of his mouth were smooth than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than the oil, yet they're drawn swords. Because he's speaking to be caring about you, but he speaks as a dragon, his draconian ways. He's slowly implementing his system in to where he can do all these wicked and detestable things unto the people, kill the people, destroy the people who don't bow down to the image of his beast, who don't bow down to his system, who don't bow down to his order, just they did before. But now he's trying to make it more justifiable today, right? He's going to get rid of he's going to cause a great scene. He's going to get rid of your constitution, your laws, because he want to usher in that martial law so he can come in his draconian ways, right? So let's get right here, right? Bear with me. Okay. Right. So right here, I typed in, I said, ancient Rome, harsh laws and rulership over the people. Right. It says ancient Rome enforced social and imperial order through a rigid class-based legal system, absolutely household authority, and theoretical public punishments. While early codes like the 12 Tables established civic rights, the state routinely exercised brutal dominion to deter rebellion and suppress moral nonconformity. Severe penalties were applied unequally. Non-citizens, provincials, and the enslaved forced tortures, executions, while upper-class citizens held legal exemptions. Laws like Lex Papia, I can't say that, penalize bastards and childless citizens, to force compliance with state-sanctioned family values, right? And you go into it. Military legions enforce total obedience through harsh collective punishment, right? Summary executions, brutal flogging for minor infractions. Crucifixion used publicly for slaves, pirates, and political rebels to maximize humiliation and terror, right? This is what America does right now through his courthouses, right? Criminals and religious targets such as early Christians were thrown to wild beasts in arenas as public entertainment, right? This is what he want to get back to. Anyone who's speaking against his system, anyone who's speaking against his system, speaking against his God, his power, he want to kill you. He want to destroy you. He can't just do that now. But now he's ready to get back to that. He's creating so much chaos so he can bring his order, his martial law. He could come down with that great wrath without nobody saying he's wrong. Because he want to be seen as the godly people, right? So that's what I say. I said, so they would basically kill you. They would basically kill you if you ain't subdued to their order. Yes, that's exactly how the Roman system operated. The state viewed any refusal to submit to their order as treason or subversion, and it used public, highly visible executions to crush defiance, man. Right? And this is what America wants to get back to. America wants to get back to that. And he's getting back to that. He's getting back to his ways. But he want to get back to his ways to where people don't look at him as a bad guy, because he want to be the good guy now. That's how you going to get everybody. That's how you going to deceive everybody. The lies, the deceit, the playing like he the chosen people. He want to get back to his ways. Right? I'm finna ask a question. I know they're going to say no. I know they're gonna say no, but I just want to try them, right? It says, while it's understandable to feel frustrated by a modern legal political system, the United States operates under a fundamental different constitutional framework than ancient Rome, right? Core legal and structural differences. Constitutional protect. See, what I was speaking about, the constitutional protection, right? The rule of law, right? Listen, the rule of law. In ancient Rome, emperors could execute citizens abruptly or change laws on a whim. The U.S. system relies on due process during formal charges, legal representation, and trial by jury of peers, right? And what I'm telling you is America is slowly getting rid of the Constitution, right? The American Constitution is right? It says the debate of health of the U.S. Constitution centers on structural strain, intense political polarization, and shifting legal interpretation rather than a sudden collapse. While the document's formal text remains intact, many legal scholars, historians, and citizens argue that the norms of institutions supporting it are facing unprecedented pressure because the Constitution is falling, man. Right? The Constitution is falling. Esau is coming with his draconian way, his draconian laws, right? He's pushing his system. And if you don't get down with it, you're going to be X'd out, whether it's executed, whether there's however they want to do it to you. Because Esau is what? Esau is getting back to his draconian ways. This is Rome 2.0, man. Right? This is Rome 2.0. Right? He's getting back to that. Right? So, hey, you either going to, return back to Yahweh Shah, conform to his draconian ways, or, hey, be executed. You got three choices, really one. And the one choice is to return back to Yahweh Shah, because either way, you're either going to be executed or you're going to take that chip. If you ain't in the spirit of power, Yahweh Shah, you're going to fall for his system. And he's going to execute you either way. Yeah, he might use you till he need you. When he done with you, he's still going to execute you, man. So, Lord willing, right? Hold the lesson was quick, edifying. So I want to touch on that Lord willing real quick, right? Hey, you can see prophecy unfolding, man. Listen, hey, he's pushing his new world order, he pushes his new system. Either gonna get down with the system or, hey, matter of fact, one more quick question. How does leaders feel about one's, I'm gonna say citizens, excuse my lack of spelling, right? So I said, how does leaders feel about citizens who don't want to move forward with digital systems, right? It said leaders often feel mixed emotions about citizens who do not want to use new digital systems. Some leaders feel frustrated because digital tools save time and money. Other leaders feel concerned about leaving older or rural people behind. Coming views of frustration. Leaders want fast service and low cost. They see paper and manual work as slow. Empathy. Some leaders understand the fear of change. They know not everyone has computer or good internet. Worry. Leaders worry about fairness. They want to make sure everyone can still get help. Keep old ways. Offer help. Man, stop playing. Right? So, Slovakia. But, so as you can see, they lying. Go slow. They give you more time to switch over. Man, they coming out with great rap. They know they don't got time. You think they giving out time? But you know chat gonna try to get the best answer to make this place look good. But as you know, man, as you can see, you in the spirit, you can see, man, he's getting back to his draconian ways, man. So don't fall for it. Don't give in to it. Right? You know, turn back to Yahweh Shah, because the devil is coming to you with great wrath, because he know he has but a short time. You know, right? He's gonna push and he's gonna destroy. He's gonna kill, devour. Right? Let's grab it real fast. I think it's Matthew 10:28. My fault. Right here, John 10:10 says, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill, to destroy. I am come they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly, man. So this is what Esau come to do, man, to kill, steal, and destroy. And he's not going to stop until he obtain his goal, man. Right? And he know he's had to do that by bringing in his draconian way, his draconian laws. And he's not going to play around with nobody. Remember, the sword is furbished, right? The sword is ready. Ezekiel 21:10, man. Right? So that been still willing. Hope this lesson was quick, edifying, and exalting, right? And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the Hopefully Elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom.